Welcome to Fetts Legacy, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 7 of Mandalorian Season 3, The Spies. We're going to be discussing some theories on this episode about who the spies could be, so big spoiler warning of course, and we will be discussing what we could potentially see in the finale of this season. But guys, before we get into that, I just wanted to give a quick reminder about the 500 subscriber special giveaway that I am running right now on this channel for 2 Amazon gift cards. So definitely check out the description below for the link to join that. There are ways to get multiple entries. 500 subscribers was a really big goal of mine, and you guys have helped me hit it. So I just wanted to run this giveaway to say thank you to everyone. But anyway, guys, let's get straight into the video. So this has definitely been the episode we've all been waiting for. This was a crazy episode. A lot happened. There's definitely a lot to talk about. But the main title of the episode is called The Spies. Now, this could just be referring to Elia Kane that we did follow through the majority of Episode 3 in this season. We did also see her in Episode 5, obviously doing some dirty work for Moff Gideon as she's pretending to, be reborn for the New Republic. And clearly she is still working with the Empire. We see a really great scene, in my opinion, at the beginning of her, kind of talking to Moff Gideon using the probe droid, kind of giving him some information about the Mandalorians as he begins to set his plan in motion, as we see him talking to the Shadow Council, which is, remnants of Imperial warlords and other people trying to bring back the Empire, working for Thrawn, and people trying to obviously run the contingency plan of bringing Palpatine back, which we do see Hux there, not the one from the sequels, but I'm guessing his father, working on the Necromancer project, which means to bring something back from the dead, which means he's working on bringing Palpatine back to life, which is pretty cool to see. I thought everything with the Shadow Council was great, talking about Thrawn and kind of building him up a little bit more, I'm guessing, for Ahsoka. It was definitely a really great episode. There was a lot of great scenes, actually. But what I actually want to get to is closer towards the end. As we see the Mandalorians go to try and take Mandalore back, they do get pulled up on by this other group of Mandalorians, kind of rocking this makeshift ship that they can kind of glide across the surface of Mandalore on. It was definitely cool to see, but I want to talk about the name of the episode, The Spies. This makes me think that there is someone that is going to betray the Mandalorians that is working for Moff Gideon secretly, and it's not just referring to Elia Kane, who we obviously know is working for Moff Gideon. Now, the theories I want to discuss here, first of all, would be that these Mandalorians that were on this ship that, did come and talk to Bo-Katan and the rest of the Mandalorians there, that they are actually working for the Empire and are not Mandalorians. Now, this theory comes mostly because it just kind of threw me off a little bit, considering that Moff Gideon's base is on Mandalore, and they all have, jetpacks and Beskar armor, and they are pretty much running Mandalore as their home base. Why these Mandalorians were just allowed to, just stroll around on this giant ship, floating around on the surfaces of Mandalore, and haven't had any interactions with, the Empire, the Imperials there, as well as Moff Gideon. It just seemed a little bit off to me that they are allowed to just do whatever they want, especially with such a big ship when they're supposed to be in hiding. And it just made me think that maybe Moff Gideon did this to send them out and get some people within their ranks to kind of trick them, and the Mandalorians would be very trusting of any other Mandalorians that are still left considered survivors, But, these people were talking about, the day of the purge and stuff and how they survived, and it doesn't make too much sense to me as the Imperials literally wiped the planet multiple times over, and obviously there are places to hide, but how are they not dead currently, considering Moff Gideon is there with his whole army and all of his weaponry and everything that he has? It also comes into play when you really think about how they had some injured survivors there. Well, they're, on this giant ship. Not many things are really going to be injuring them. Obviously, there are different kinds of animals and wildlife on the planet that definitely could have injured them in their travels, but they seem to just be traveling around aimlessly. They don't really have like a purpose. So it's just a little bit confusing to me that they had some injured people. They didn't mention that they were attacked by Moff Gideon or any of the Imperials. They seem to not even have known that they are set up base there. So that was just a little bit fishy to me. And then obviously we see the armorer take the injured survivors back to the fleet up in space. Now, this was also a bit intriguing to me because, maybe they had some people that were injured or fake injured to get on board and take it over from the inside. take over their fleet, their base of operations. They can set up there and then, start working from the inside. That makes a lot of sense to me. It's definitely something that Moff Gideon would do. And that is a really smart play, get some people behind enemy lines that they don't even think are a threat, and they can help you take over right from there. And I think this will come into play into the next episode. I do think that this season is going to end poorly for all of our characters, Bo-Katan, Mando. I don't think it's going to have like a happy, sweet ending like season 2. I think season 3 is going to end poorly for everyone, and it's going to try and build up hype for obviously Ahsoka and, the next seasons of The Mandalorian. And it is already looking bad for them. Din Djarin was captured, a bunch of Mandalorians died, including Paz Vizsla, who gave his life to let the others escape, which I have to say, rest in peace, Paz Vizsla. I cannot believe they killed my boy like that. He went out in a blaze of glory, of course. He is a great character, and he definitely grew a lot on me this season. I really like him, and it was sad to see him go, actually. I didn't think he was going to end up dying, but he ended up sacrificing himself and actually wiped out all of the Imperials that were wearing Beskar armor, but just could not handle the Praetorian guards at the end there. He obviously did not have his gun anymore as it completely overheated and was taken out. Definitely a sad thing to see, sad way to go for such a great character. But definitely is going to have the Mandalorians fired up, now that Paz Vizsla is dead, Din Djarin is captured. I want to see what Grogu's going to do mostly, because Grogu kind of just stood there, even with his new IG-12 suit, which I will talk about a little bit later on, but he really didn't have much to do in this episode with all the fighting. And we all know that Grogu can hold his own in a fight. He obviously has the Force, he's been trained by Luke, and now he's being trained by the Mandalorians, as well as having some Beskar armor and great mobility that he did end up learning from Luke in the Book of Boba Fett. So I would have liked to see him do a little bit more, maybe get mad that Din Djarin was just captured and beaten right in front of him, because we do know when he gets angry, he can really kind of latch onto the dark side a little bit, like some other Force users, and he gets a little bit more powerful. So I would have liked to see his reaction a little bit more. I definitely want to see what he's going to do now that Din is captured. What are they going to do? How are they going to rescue him? And I think the Mythosaur will help them in the next episode. I feel like Bo-Katan will have to tame it to go and take on Moff Gideon and the rest of the Imperials, as they're just a little bit outmatched by them. They have so many numbers and so many people. And of course, Moff Gideon now is also in his own new improved Dark Trooper armor, Beskar armor, and they're definitely a force to be reckoned with. So I feel like the Mythosaur will have to come into play to retake Mandalore and save Din. And my other theory for the Spies would be the Armorer, and this is mostly because, first of all, she was the one to take the injured survivors back to the fleet, and if they are working for Moff Gideon, she could be the one that is setting up the whole plan for them to take over the fleet. And also, I just want to mention that she has some horns on her helmet. We saw this with the Mandalorians. We even see this with Moff Gideon now. He has horns on his helmet, so maybe she is loyal to Darth Maul's rule and Moff Gideon currently. And the last reason for this theory actually comes in season 1 of The Mandalorian. We go all the way back to when the entire covert was wiped out by the Imperials and Moff Gideon and, the rest of the stormtroopers and stuff. And she was the only one left down in the sewers with all of this armor to be remade into new Mandalorian armor. Now, I'm sure how you guys can see this being a little bit fishy. Obviously, she's a talented warrior. She is a Mandalorian. But how did everyone else get wiped out? And she was the last one alive when she doesn't have a huge arsenal of weaponry or gadgets or anything. She fights with melee weapons and she's obviously very skilled with them. But how does she end up alive, when all of these other Mandalorians couldn't survive? And they're all great warriors. They're all good with weapons. They all have more gadgets and weapons than her. So how do they all die and she survives? Also, I just want to say, these Imperials wearing Beskar armor, maybe it was the armorer who designed this armor for them and used all of that leftover armor from all of the fallen Mandalorians in Season 1 to create some armor for Moff Gideon and these other Imperials. Now, this is highly unlikely as, it was her entire dedicated covert that was wiped out. I don't know why she would be working for them. Now, that's why it is just a theory, but there are a few signs pointing to it could be her, that she's a spy. And the last one, of course, would be Axe Woves. This is mostly because he just seems like a little bit of a jerk, and he ends up escaping on his own to go back to the fleet. Now, I don't think he is the spy, but it definitely could be set up that, he was the one who freed Moff Gideon, and he was the one who's been working with him this whole time behind the scenes, and really has been setting up Bo-Katan and the rest of the Mandalorians this whole time. Now, like I said, I just don't think this is very likely, but there is still a possibility that he is working with Moff Gideon. For the right price, he might be working with Moff Gideon. We never know. We do know some Mandalorians consider themselves strictly mercenaries and will switch sides for the highest price. So obviously, of the 3 theories, the last 2 are a little bit more out there. The armor and axe woves working for, Moff Gideon is a little bit far-fetched. They are just theories, of course. But I do think that the Mandalorians at the beginning could possibly be on the enemy team. They could be working with the Imperials and tricking the Mandalorians. I feel like that is the most likely of the 3 for sure. But the other 2 did give me a little bit of weird vibes at the end there, and obviously the episode is called The Spies, implying that there's more than one. So we do know of Elia Kane, of course, at the beginning, but I do feel like there is someone else. It is most likely those other Mandalorians, but who knows, maybe it is Axe Woves or the armor. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on the episode. I definitely want to say a big thank you again to all that have subscribed to the channel. Definitely check out that giveaway down in the description below, and let me know what you thought of this episode. Who do you think the spies are? And what do you think of Paz Vizsla's death, of course? Were you sad to see him go? And what do you think we're going to see in the next episode? Will we see Grogu saving Din? Will the Mythosaur come and help the Mandalorians retake Mandalore? Definitely let me know down in the comment section below. I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say, and I'll see you guys next time.